Let's bring our Sky News political editor, Andrew Clennell. Well, we both watched, I'm sure you watched it with me, that election launch that happened on Sunday, in Adelaide. Clearly the campaign is underway, a big US-style rally at an Adelaide school. I have to say, Andrew, more and more, it's looking like we're going early. What do you think?
I think it depends on the Reserve Bank, Peter. I think if they were to cut rates in February, very good chance that was the case. And you'd be looking at a late March kind of election, not to get too much in the way of the WA election. They have a meeting around February 8, I believe. And the government, there are people in government who believe they will cut rates then, but some of that data they put out today, you do wonder, because they've revised their inflation forecast down, but they say in late 2025 it goes back up to 3.7. So how could you cut rates if you believe that's the case? And that's, of course, because the power bill relief, etc., comes off then. So they're pretty conservative. If this government's relying on them to cut rates in either February or April, it's a big gamble, but, you know, it's pretty much the only gamble they've got, although they've started rolling out this you know, they're going to wipe 20% of student debt. Opposition immediately opposed it, so that's a battleground. There'll be another announcement, as I understand it, next month, one in January as well, one in February, and then it's a matter of whether or not we're going to a budget and an election or just an election, which is where your question stems from, really. Do they want to do another budget before an election, when that budget could be criticised as being inflationary, when that budget will certainly, you would expect, contain deficits and not the two surpluses they've been boasting about every day?
Well, I hope there's someone in the PM's office with his or her economic brain switched on, because the PM seems to be talking at odds here, because he tells his caucus, don't worry, don't get nervous, you know, we'll get you over the line, we'll win the next election. I've got all these policies I'm going to roll out. You know, we expect they're going to come in December and January. Of course, the big spending is what's causing the RBA not to cut rates. It's what's causing them to keep them on hold, and that small risk that they might go up again. So how can he have all these big spending policies on their way and aim for that rate cut in February?
The only way you can do it is to have them occur in the out years, have them occur kind of from 2026 on. And I guess the reduction of student debt doesn't take effect for some time, does it? The government wouldn't have expected to get that money back
just on that
next
one,
year, for
it's
example.
Actually, a lot of people don't know this, it bears as an asset on the budget books. It doesn't bear as a liability because the debt's coming back. It's owed, you know, it's money owed to the Commonwealth. But that's just deferring the payment. That's a timing issue, really. I mean, the 20% cut is material, but the payment structures are just timing issues. And you're putting that hit on taxpayers today who are not at university for the windfall gain of the uni student, who we know from all the statistics, having got a university bachelor degree, are always likely to earn more than the poor old mug that's paying for them to get that degree now. That's where there's a lack of equity in all of this.
Indeed, that can be argued. I guess the issue for the government is they have to be creative, because, as you say, if they just do normal cash splashes or immediate tax cuts, that's going to be pouring fuel on the inflation fire. They need to be trying to say, we're helping you with the cost of living in a way that's not just pouring money into the economy immediately.
What about all the, you know, continuing fallout from those Qantas perks the Prime Minister got for personal travel? I think people are less concerned about being upgraded on a business flight. That's actually saving the taxpayer money, you know, getting a business class seat for the politician when they've bought an economy seat. All this talk now of people renouncing their lounge access, but also the mooted ban now on accepting any upgrade on a personal flight. I think that's a no-brainer. I think that should absolutely be an announcement from the government, and I'm surprised they haven't announced it yet. What do you think?
He won't do it, I don't think, Anthony Albanese. But it is intriguing that the opposition hasn't asked a single question about Anthony Albanese's upgrades. And I think a real reason for that, as I revealed this afternoon, is in the next couple of days, the Shadow Transport Minister, who was jumping up and down about this at the start, is going to have to admit that she took more than 11 upgrades, as I understand it, for a lot of them for personal travel, This is since 2015. She's been through a record. She's been to the airline. She's waiting for final confirmation. It is more than 11. She came on Sky and said, I haven't had any. Now, these were at the gate, as I understand it. They weren't a situation where she had booked in advance, which is some of the... But you're right, it's a terrible look. And basically, it's put Peter Dutton in a bit of a corner if he wanted to take Anthony Albanese on the issue, because she's got real problems. I mean, her portfolio is transport. She's previously been Minister of the Crown. She hasn't made her declarations.
Andrew, I don't buy this idea it's at the gate. They can say no. I have known politicians who at the gate, you know, they've tried it with a phone call, they've been offered an upgrade, they've rejected it, they've got upgraded at the lounge, they handed back the ticket and said, no, you put me back in my economy seat. They've tried it, you know, literally when you scan boarding the plane to upgrade them at that point. And the politicians have repeatedly said no. You can say no. I've seen it happen. I don't buy that as an excuse at all.
Interesting, because her defence will be, well, at least I didn't solicit them. I understand from opposition sources. So, but that's all she's got, because she certainly should have declared them, and that's a real lapse.
Yeah, all right, we'll leave it there. Just before we go, I'll mention too, the clerk of the Senate has confirmed that Lydia Thorpe says there's no test of sincerity when members are sworn in, so she stands as a member. I think the whole thing's got to change, Andrew, but we'll talk about that next time. Thanks for your company. See you next week.